one thing that you did that I really appreciated is you brought together a group of folks who had the lived experience, and many of them were women who had children. I wanted to play a quick clip, if I could, about the conversation that we had, and then come back and dialogue with you about that. Is that all right?
Yep,
All
perfect.
right,
Let's see it.
here we go.
And so for parenting, I think I didn't want to parent because I'm second generation foster care. My mom was in foster care as well. And so she had no idea of what to do because she had never experienced anything that resembled parenting either. And my dad grew up in a really dysfunctional household. And so he also had no tools. And I was like, wow, I can't do that. Like, I can't even have a kid because I don't have any idea of what the framework would look like. And then my daughter came. What am I supposed to do, like, with this baby who needs me to do everything? I was terrified. She just turned 18, and I think, my biggest fear for both of my kids throughout their childhood so far, until very recently, with a lot of therapy and a lot of work, was that I wanted to have a relationship with them beyond them needing me and being very broken. I was like, eventually my kids will leave, and eventually my kids will not want to be connected to me because I'm not a good mom and I'm not doing this right, and there's some standard that I don't understand that isn't me. And it was hard to look at my kids knowing, like, whew, like, I love this person. This is an extension of me. This is like an aspect of the divine given to me, entrusted to me. And that as much as I would love them, that they would leave me because I wasn't doing something right. There just always was this thought that, like, you think that you know how to do this. You think that you can do this well. And you can't. You're broken. You've never seen it. You don't know what it looks like. And my daughter's 18, and she's, 5'7" and gorgeous and, just amazing. And I still cradle her, She gets in my bed with me a lot, and I cradle her with her long legs, across the bed. And I always tell her, I rock her, and I'm like, you're my baby. Always my baby. Always my baby. Which I wish I had. But, she would say, yeah, when I'm 30 and I have my babies, you're still gonna rock me like this, right? Mm-hmm. And I tell her, yeah, always. And to me, she saved my life. And she showed me love that I had never, ever known. Because I was not loved as a kid. And there wasn't anything that I had to do. She just naturally did it. She's naturally a beautiful person and a loving person. Like, I'm so lucky to have you. And she feels the same way. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Because I have never felt that way about anybody else, and I don't think anyone ever felt that way about me. And so parenting for me has been a lifesaver.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, you know, um, you know, I know people don't necessarily know how much you have helped me in healing my relationship with my own mom, because when you talk about those things, it really resonates from my mom's experience, and so, because this is the weekend for Mothering Day, and we're specifically calling it Mothering Day because of folks like you, Jenny, who've had to figure it out on your own. And so I just wanted to give, the space for you and Nyah to talk about what that relationship has been, because, you guys are, not only are you one of my foster care heroines, but, you're one of my closest friends, and you've had such a transformational effect on my life and so many. So I just want to give you the space and time to really share what it's been like to be in the space. And this was 3 years ago, right? So,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of progress that has happened in your relationship since then, other milestones. So we wanted to celebrate you and just wanted to hear from you anything that you'd like to say.
Wow, I don't think we were ready for that. It was like, oh man, where's the tissue? That was it was a lot to watch, and it brought me back to that opportunity, which was amazing. I mean, for those of you that maybe weren't around that particular retreat weekend 3 years ago, we had folks who had lived experience in care from virtually like every generation. I think we started off with like our young adults, our transition age kids, and we went all the way like into I think the 50s or 60s. People that were in their 50s and 60s, and that was incredible because there was just so much lived experience and so much to share. But wow, that was a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still the same sentiment. I I grew up with my mom. I had my mom the first 12 years, but my mom had also been in foster care and had bounced around a lot and didn't really have a template. And she had me as a teenager. And, you know, when I had my daughter, when I had Nyah, I was 22. I was finishing up my undergraduate degree. I had a full-time job. I was with, her dad for 15 years after she was born. And I still, I had a lot of the things that would have made me, feel like I can do this, I'm ready, and I had no freaking idea, like no clue. I'm really surprised she's alive right here, right in the flesh, because she was slippery as heck in the bathtub, and she was crazy. Like she would scream and cry all night, and I would like jump up and down on the bed, like, "Be quiet! What is wrong with you?" And I would just be going crazy. But I mean, I think that was right on the mark with like she gave purpose and direction to my life. It's not an endorsement to like run out and have kids, you guys, but for me, I just really didn't see what my life could be. And honestly, I think people's expectations for me were so low as a kid that I then had a really low concept of what my life should be. And so the fact that I was in college working towards an undergraduate degree, the fact that I had a full-time job with benefits that paid me an annual salary of a whopping $21,000 a year back in 97, I was like, this is it. This is my whole life right here. This is better than the life that everyone sort of predicted for me to have, and it's enough. And in hindsight, when I think about that, I'm like, wow, that was the very beginning. That was me as an adult, but in my infancy as an adult, and there was so much more that I could do. And I think having Nyah, is what opened that world up to me. It made me have to see the world differently. And it made me have to, I'd always, I want to say this too, because I know some of you guys that are on the call or that are, hearing this probably have this experience too. I had parented my whole life. I had parented my mom. I had parented my dad. I had parented my siblings. I was always taking care of someone. When Nyah was born, I was, still taking care of my younger brother because our parents had already died. And so, it seemed like it should be so natural, but it wasn't the same. It was a very different dynamic to have a child, that really needed you to do everything. And so I don't know. She's like, yeah, she's like the biggest, greatest blessing in my life. And of course I have my son Asher too, but he came a little bit later, but Nyah really changed the whole trajectory for me. And she's amazing. But you guys know that already.
I do. And Nyah, I wanted to acknowledge you. I see you wearing your UC Irvine shirt, but
representing.
That's right. Nyah has been like my peer in many ways because, for a while, Nyah thought I was in foster care, and that's why Jenny and I were connected. And when she found out, it was like, no, my mom had that experience, and that's what made our connection so strong. we started to connect because there were things that were similar about the way that we were raised that we just didn't have any other representation of, because you never really hear about the stories of kids who have grown up with a parent who had a lived experience in care, who experienced those childhood traumatic experiences and navigated the world and figured it out on their own. So I wondered from you, Nyah, if there are any things that you've kind of taken from your mom, kind of in honoring of Mothering Day, that you've really adopted into who you are as a human being, that you think you'll take into your future of nurturing others that will be kind of relying on your spirit and energy.
Well, I think I'm currently taking a child development course, and I've been doing a lot of discussions through remote learning, and have actually talked about my mom quite a bit in them, because we have to kind of, after our chapters, we talk about different parenting styles and like the development of the child at these certain ages and things. And I've pretty much just have said the entire time, like, of how incredible of a job my mom's done, with with raising me, with just making sure that I've had, like, you know, it's a very like nurturing, supportive environment when I was very small, and how that's kind of manifested into how I am today, and how important that time of my life really was, to, you know, pave the way for me to be on the doorstep of attending a 4-year university, you know, transferring and pursuing a higher education. And I've felt like I felt a lot of pressure, for one, I'll be honest about that, that I have a lot to live up to, because I feel like even in the lectures I've been listening to, that for parents that don't have like a role model to look up to, they kind of get like swept under the rug. And I was listening to a conversation, I don't know if I could share this, that you had, I think with you, with Zaid, just the other day, about how your mom had felt when you guys had like a conversation when she was about to pass, and she had said like she'd never come back to see you because all those educated people, those other women, had pretty much told her she was a terrible mom, and she was not able to take care of my mom because of, you know, things that she was going through. And I know it's just a bystander to that, but I was doing my assignments at that time. So all I could think of was, you know, why did she have to feel that way? And like, you know, she didn't have the tools to really, like, you know, or really the chance to ever try to come back and, you know, try to rework that relationship. And, you know, they ran out of time. She passed. And I don't think that's fair. And I think, you know, with the experience I have, and from just watching as a bystander to what she does every day, and, you know, being a part of Peace for Kids, a lot of parents don't probably feel that same way, that they don't feel like they get a chance to ever, you know, speak up, or, you know, all these, you know, important, powerful, educated people are telling them like they're bad people, they can't take care of their kids, and, or, you know, there's something wrong. But I felt like, you know, we shouldn't be just kind of like cutting people off like that. And like just like we shouldn't be cutting people off that way, and, you know, provide the tools and some kind of systems. I think Peace for Kids does a great job, where people can, you know, learn about these resources, learn about different tools to help aid in building those different relationships, not maybe even not necessarily with another parent, but with other role models and mentors, to kind of work on that. And I think for me, that's kind of, I've just been kind of taking personal notes. You know, I just turned 21. I was referring 3 years ago when I was 18. I turned 21 in March. You know, I haven't gone to a bar, but it's been closed. but
We'll keep it that way for a while, though. We'll keep it that way for a while.
yeah, that's fine. But I'm only a year away from, being in that same position my mom was in when she had me. And, that's kind of giving me a different perspective on my life and, the things that I'm doing right now. And, I think it's incredible what she's done, because I can barely take care of myself, and I have the privilege to live with her. And the fact that I really am here, breathing and alive, really is something incredible to me. And it's something that I really hope that I can be prepared for one day when I have my own kids, and and ready to nurture them to do great things, and also take our family, our legacy to the next level.
And you're going to do that, Nyah.
Yeah.
I want you to know, right? And what you're talking about is, generational healing. And I'm so inspired by you all. And we're hearing a lot of things of folks in this conversation that really touched by your relationship and your authenticity and your wisdom. We have bio parents that are on as well, who are talking about how inspired they are about this, who've had to go through the crisis of not being able to take care of their kids and having those kids removed. So there's so many things that are happening. And we really want to focus this conversation around this weekend, because I think people think about Mother's Day in this traditional sense. And there are so many more powerful narratives. And the generational healing that is present in the two of you is something that I want to make sure the world gets to see, because this is how we're going to transform our communities. We're going to transform this community by healing ourselves based on some of the tragedies that we've experienced as a people. And that's how the diaspora of who we are gets the opportunity to emerge into its newest and greatest potential. So thank you all for joining us and sharing this conversation. I could talk to y'all all day. But if there's any final words that y'all have before we kind of move on to the next segment.
Add one? Okay. I just want to say this isn't easy, and just for everyone that's listening and everyone that, is maybe thinking about this or thinking, I could never have this kind of relationship with my parent or a kid or another person. I will be the first to raise my hand and attest, I am a very broken person in a lot of ways. And this is not easy. This is something that we work at every day. It's a challenge. There are plenty of days and instances where I call Zaid, like, I'm about to move out on my own and go live in a raft, on the ocean by myself with no kids. And again, as we've gone through different things, as Nyah's grown up in particular, things like when she reached age 12, and that was the age that I was removed, I was like, oh, snap, now I have absolutely no context for what is supposed to come next. And, her becoming an adult and having to kind of, learn to let go and trust that, we've laid a foundation that is going to, guide her trajectory from here on out, whether I'm here or not. Those things are all very hard to do. So, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's made, again, it's made my life so much richer. And, again, my friendship with you, Z, to think that what all the questions and all of the struggles and challenges that I've had as a parent, when I became friends with you and I would share those things with you, and then later in years I found out this is helping me repair my relationship with my mom, because the narrative is very similar, has really profoundly impacted me as well. Because, again, we don't have a lot of models for this, and there aren't a lot of people that are willing, I think, to talk about it. And it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to admit that we don't always know, what we're doing, or if we're walking in the right direction, or that we fell down or we tripped. It's all good. That's life. That's what we're here to do.
That's right.
So we really, I thank you for letting us share a little bit about, our relationship and who we are. And yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. And just so everybody in the community knows, um, Jenny had a story done about her. It's a 360 video that she worked on with some students from USC. And so Jacob will drop that in the chat so you can see a little bit more about what Jenny does in terms of mentoring other young people who have a cared experience, who come through the department, and how she kind of engages them and being an anchor for them as they're navigating their careers and their lives. So Jenny and Nyah, you all know that I love you. I'm so humbly grateful for you guys opening up this dialogue. I hope it's a conversation that will extend the world over. And thank you for kicking off this Mothering Day weekend with your insights.